What is happening? What's up, you guys? What's up? It feels good to be doing another live Q&A. I'm so excited for this one because it's been a while. So I got plenty of stuff I want to talk about. I also have what do you call it? I have questions that persons have kind of like sent me before that I'll be answering. So that should be fun while we're doing that part of it. Let's see, because I want to make sure everything is perfect right now. My camera is set up perfectly. Everything is set up perfectly. This is good. It's going to be a good session. An amazing session. Let me make sure I have all the stuff here. So welcome, everyone, whether you're tuning in from Facebook or YouTube. It's gonna be great. You know, I gotta someone always decide to give me a call right when I'm doing a live. So I am gonna put my phone on DND. So let's do this, put it on and just make sure it's on Do Not Disturb. So let's make sure it's there. Okay, sweet. All right. So tonight, the topic for tonight's live is like, what's really blocking you, right? I've kind of been having a few conversations with people, and I think this happened to me on my journey of starting to raise capital. And sometimes during the process, like, I'm not gonna lie, like there's always a blockage as well. Even like if you are just getting started, that there's something that happens that I can't explain. So I want to like use tonight's session to truly address that. You know what I'm saying? Like to truly address it as to some of the things that I've seen that blocks people. If you are also new here, hi, I'm Kalisha. And I'm known for raising private money and helping other real estate entrepreneurs raise private capital as well. I am a Jamaican immigrant. I just said Jamaican immigrant. I'm a Jamaican, which also means I'm an immigrant. And I got into real estate. If you don't know that story, I've done a ton of videos on this, but I'm gonna sum it up that I got into real estate because the bank, no, not because the bank told me no. I got into private lending and raising capital because the bank told me no. So I just reached out to different investors, shared my story online, and from there I kind of gotten different investors as well. So that was pretty amazing. And I've been raising private capital, I would say, since the ending of 2023, early 2024, where I kind of, or 2020, yeah, 2023 rather. And that's, or early 2024, that's where I kind of like decided to give raising private money, like go all in with that. So that was like, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna commit 90 days and try this thing. And I did. It was tough because I wanted to like give up a little bit and try something else because I wasn't seeing any results at all. So, like a lot of people, we give up and think, I don't know everything. I just do this. Oh my God. Thinking that I'm not ready or I don't know enough, rather, to start, or I don't have any experience to start. So, those were like some of my roadblocks when I started. So, so yeah. So tonight, as I mentioned, is like talking about what's really blocking you from raising private money or whatever it is that you're in your journey. Like, also, if you have questions, like feel free to drop them in the chat. I am also going to just use the time to pin in the chat so you know what we're talking about, and you can go in and drop your question as well. And I think some of these things that I want to address is like, these are, I've realized they're also they're ongoing. So it's like when it happens, you have to figure out, how do I navigate this part of the journey when I'm raising money, when investors are telling me no, like, because it's all I wouldn't say a mental game, it's a mind game, you know, like it's a lot of mental work that going into it as well. So I'm going to drop that in the chat so I can pin it. And then that way, again, if you guys have questions as well, feel free to drop them in the chat. I have no clue how to pin this, and that's something I may need to do. I can show it on the stream, but then it has blocked my face. But yeah. So let's remove this and keep it there as well. Okay. But yeah, so one of the things that when it comes on to like what's blocking persons, right? Um, I think one of the main questions I get asked all the time, or I hear, or if you're completely new, it's always like, I don't know where to find investors. Like, I hear that all the time. Like, I think we think investors are in a specific group or area or room. And that kind of took a while for me to really understand. Um, because I was so new to the space, right? I just thought that I thought private investors or private money lenders, I thought they looked a certain type of way. I thought they dressed a certain type of way. I thought they hang out a certain type of way. And I've heard a thing over and over like, hey, they're around you, they're everywhere, they're near you, but you don't even know. And it finally clicked where I'm like, oh my God, a private investor or private money lender or anyone with private capital can literally be around you and you don't even know. Because remember, like, they don't look a certain way. When it says private investors or investors, it's anybody. It's literally anybody who has capital and that can invest in your business, in to fund your real estate deal or anything. Someone who has capital that can meet a need that you have as well. So, right. So I think there is no perfect way or place to find them, right? I think it's just that you have to position yourself to attract those persons. That's one, right? So you got to be able to position yourself, whether it could be like, how do you show up online? How do you show up in person? How do you show up when you introduce yourself? How do you show up when you dress, when you go to a networking event, whether that's real estate related or non-real estate related event? Like, how do you show up to these things, right? Even if you're meeting a stranger or getting introduced or referral and all that stuff, it's literally like, how do you show up, right? And the thing is, like, the way how you show up and present yourself, literally, like the way how you present yourself, people people will take you seriously or they may not take you seriously. It's go by, like, think about it, where sometimes they're like, it depends how, if you don't carry yourself a certain type of way or you don't put any effort into carrying yourself. Like, a lot of times you go to somebody with money and you ask them for about an opportunity, ask them to invest, and they look at you, they're like, are you kidding? Or like, I don't take you seriously. And it could be, not saying this is always the case, but like what I've seen, right? Or what, as humans, let's be real for a little bit. If you have money, put yourself in an investor's shoe. If you have money and you always wear a raggedy shirt that has holes in it, you're barefoot all the time walking around, and that person asks you for 100,000. Like, the reality of it is that, for if they ask you for 100,000 to go invest in a deal or to fund a real estate opportunity, you will either laugh, you will not take that person seriously. So I think it's like, really, how do you show up online? And also, if you're online and the way how you're showing up is, maybe you're going to parties all the time, not saying that is bad, but let's say your whole social media is you going to parties all the time and you playing a bunch of games, whatever that thing is, and that person doesn't see anything real estate related that you're doing, then their person might be like, I don't feel like I trust this person, right? So everything is how do you show up? How do you position yourself in front of these investors? That is like very, very crucial. Um, so yeah. And then you can really find private investors. You can find them. I'm gonna list out a whole bunch of places. But here's the thing. Before I list them out, right? I think we expect that if I give you 10 places to find investors, if you go on, whether it's online or in these groups, and you try for like an hour or a day and you don't find anyone, I think a lot of us are like, that doesn't work. I can't find investors. But the reality of it, like, you got to keep trying things. You got to keep doing lead gen, lead outsourcing in those same sources until you find something, or do it for a certain amount of time before you decide that it doesn't work. For me, my rule of thumb is always do everything for 90 days. That way I can make a decision that this thing is working, right? So you can try to find investors in Facebook groups, whether that's real estate or non-related real estate groups. You can find them at different networking events, both non-real estate and real estate networking events. Tech events are good. Local chamber of commerce is good. Anywhere where startups, like persons who are pitching their startups or venture, like their startup business, or some innovation summit is pretty good. Any like financial summit seminars are usually pretty amazing as well to find private investors. Referrals, I'm really really big with referrals. So sometimes I will meet somebody and then I would say, hey, if you if you know anyone that will be interested, would love an introduction, because a lot of my investors come from referrals, I would say. Yeah, a lot of them do come from referrals. So then that works as well. Okay, so that works, referrals. I would say also to find private investors, I mentioned Facebook groups. That has worked for me. And then if you position yourself online that you're doing that thing or whatever it is that you're doing, you have people in your existing network who are watching what you're doing, and they have the capital, but they want to see what is it that they're doing before they're like, okay, hey, I see what you're doing. I want to learn more, or I'm interested. The reality of it is that a lot of people aren't just walking around saying, I have money to invest. And a lot of people don't consider themselves to be a private investor or a PML, whatever it is that you want to call it. Right. So that's one of the things I see that persons mentioned, like when they said, like, it's blocking them to raise capital, is that they can't find private investors. So those things that I just listed are ways to find private investors. You just got to keep doing it over and over and over. A lot of those sources I'm using up to this day. Is just that the difference is you now become very strategic in the different rooms that you go to, the different networking events that you go to. Because now, if you've tried 5 different networking events, and depending on the type of people that have gone to those networking events, then you will be like, that doesn't work for me. Let me try another 5, or out of the 5, these 2 work. So maybe I need to continue to doing these 2, or find others that's relating to those 2 as well. So you kind of start making better decisions and strategic decisions in terms of how to do the networking aspect of it, right? Another thing when it comes on to what's blocking people, it's like, how do I ask someone for money without it being weird? I kind of get that. I kind of get that, especially if you're like completely new, or you've done it 1 or 2 times from friends or family, and you're like, how I'm asking a stranger for money? That feel weird. And I get that. It can feel weird because you're new, right? But here's the thing, I would say it's change your perspective, right? And this will help to kind of unblock that thought process of it too, in terms of like, don't think that you are asking persons for money, right? Especially if you share a deal, that's a difference, right? Because the reality of it, like, a lot of people don't, money is a touchy subject for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want you to ask them for money. But just keep in mind, like, think about it where you are providing access to them, or you're providing opportunity to them. And usually, like, persons who are interested in things like that, like access to certain things, or an opportunity, a lot of times, especially if they're looking to invest, or they've thought about investing, most of the time they want to hear more. Like, they won't just shut you down and be like, shut up, I don't want to hear anything. A lot of times they want to know more about what is this opportunity, right? It's like, for us to, a lot of times, like, think about yourself. I always like to put myself in people's shoe. Like, if someone brings something to me, I may not, yes, I may not have the money, but sometimes I want to know, what is this thing that you're talking about? Even though sometimes I know I'm not interested, like, I just want to know, what is it that you're talking about? So don't think about it that you are asking people for money. Just think about it, you're providing an opportunity, but you're also opening a door for access. It just goes back to, again, like, how do you perceive certain things? Because if you go into that conversation, or you meet somebody and you go in with that mindset, a lot of times things will go wrong. You will, you will stumble over your words. It will show that you're not confident, and there's just so many things, like, there's like a ripple effect. So kind of just go in, whether that's a phone call that you're talking to a potential investor, or someone you're talking to the first time, or a Zoom call, right? Literally, like, you don't need to say, think that you're asking them for money. Here's an example too. I'm trying to think, like, the perfect way I can position this to a complete stranger. So today I was in an appointment, and the person, the individual, completely in the not in the real estate space, and they asked me, what is it that I do? And I just assumed, like, always going to assume that these persons don't have a clue what it means to be a private investor as well. And I just mentioned to them, and I like to use my analogy that I use at the bank, but I just simply mention it to them by using a third party story, right? Again, not asking them for money, but I'm planting the seed because it's my first interaction with them. I don't know much about them. And I just explain that I operate a real estate investment firm. And what we do, we get a lot of for funding from people like you who have capital and they want to invest in real estate, but I don't know what to do. So they invest with our company, and then our company now go find real estate deals to fund. And in return, we pay our investors interest. So I kept it super simple, no perfect pitch, and I keep it short and simple. And from there, they had follow up after follow up, and then based on the questions that they were asking, I was able to answer. Now, I would love if that person would invest with me, but I didn't go in and directly ask them for money, right? I just planted the seeds. I used third party stories. Like, I would give them examples of deals that we've done. So, in me giving them examples of deals that we've done, I planted the seed of explaining to them how much money they would invest, what the opportunity is, what the access to is. In my case, access to it is interest payment, passive income. That's the access, that's the opportunity for them to get, which they even use the example during our conversation. They're like, oh, you're literally doing what the bank is doing, because then my money's sitting in the bank and they're paying me point whatever percent. They literally gave me that example. So don't go into a conversation that you don't want to ask person for money. You are providing access, you're providing an opportunity to them, and you are simply just having a conversation, right? As you're having a conversation. So we talk about the things that are blocking you, either because you think you don't know where to find investors, or the other thing that's blocking you is like, how do I ask for money without it being weird? So because you think it's gonna feel weird, you don't even ask, right? So then you don't even know. So there's two things that you're blocking so far. And then another thing too is, like, I think this was my blockage, I would say, when I started, the I don't have a track record. Why would anyone invest with me? Like, that was so me. I don't have a track record. I don't have a track record. So why would anyone invest with me? Like, I've never used private money before. Even when I got my first deal, I've never done a real estate deal before. But I think what you need to remember is that everyone starts somewhere. We all have to start somewhere. And a lot of 99% of people, a lot of us did not, or a lot of people, well, however you want to take it, did not start with a track record. Okay. They built their track record, but it takes just for one person to believe in you, to support you, to believe in the vision and have confidence in what is it that you're doing. But it also goes back to you being showing up for, first of all, like, showing up to show that, okay, I've taken the time, I've taken the effort to analyze this deal, to properly vet this deal, I've taken the time to make sure that your money is protected, and there's a way for you to get your money back. I've taken the time to build a team, or even find a team, even if this is your first time getting a real estate deal. But you gotta show some level of, like, effort. And I've seen so many people that do not, oh my God, it's a pet peeve, that do not put in effort when they're presenting a deal. Like there's no effort into how it's presented or how they put together either the email or a deck or even how they explain the deal. They haven't taken the time. And for me and to maybe to other investors, on what I've seen is that because you haven't taken the time or put in effort, I'm not going to give you any of my time or effort as well, because you can't do the simple thing of making this presentable for me. Why do I need to give you my money? And I think that is like very, very crucial too. So you gotta like put the time and effort into it. Like, and don't think that you don't need a track record, right? It's like, even if like the track record is, it's crucial, but it's not the only thing, right? It could be how you structure the deal. It literally could be how you show up and you explain the deal, and it shows that you've put some thought into it, right? But you gotta start somewhere. Like, just remember that. Like, if you don't get started, you will never get to deal number 10. You will never be able to raise the next 100,000. Like, you literally have to start somewhere. Like, if you don't do the thing, you are not going to start. Okay, you're not going to start. You're going to try to have the perfect answer, the perfect track record. You can't build a track record if you don't start. Make it make sense. Like, think about that. Like, you literally cannot build a track record if you do not start, right? So that's the one of the things too. Structuring the deal. Oh my God, I think, gosh, I say like this is one of a common question, but it truly is. There's so many like common things that I've seen, and it's always like, how do I structure the deal? Like, how would you know how to structure the deal? Like, does the deal even make sense? What does the deal look like? What, like, I'm trying to find a way to explain this, right? So, like, when you talk about structuring a deal, you have to look at the project itself, right? Before asking anyone for money, before breaking down any of the financing, look on this deal. If I acquire this deal, right? If I purchase it for X, I think like you gotta go in and be like, all right, I see a house and I think I wanna renovate this and sell it. Or you might think, you know what, based on the area, based on what you really want to do, I'm gonna renovate this house and keep it as a rental. Like, a lot of times as an investor, you know, or a real estate operator, let's put this that way, when you're gonna buy real estate, you kind of have an idea what your exit strategy is, right? So you know if you want to sell it, you know if you want to keep it as a rental. Once you decide what that exit strategy is, it will determine how you even underwrite the deal or vet the numbers, right? Again, before we're talking about how to structure the deal. You really have to look on those things of the deal first, right? So you go in with the exit in mind. Once you have the exit in mind, okay, this I am going to renovate this and then I'm going to sell it, right? Once you know that, then you know what your purchase price is, what your rehab is, what the potential ARV is, and from all your costs to buy the property, to sell the property, your holding costs, all the costs affiliated with you buying and running this until it's get listed and it's sell, right? Then you know that, okay, after all those costs, right? Let's say the spread is 100,000. So if you purchase your rehab, your closing costs to buy, your closing costs to sell, your interest payments, your holding costs, electricity, insurance, taxes, let's say all of that is 200,000, right? And you can sell the asset, the property, whether it's one unit, two, it doesn't matter, but you can sell it for, let's say, 200,000. You can sell it for 200. Remember, it's going to cost you 100,000. So if you deduct that, you have 100,000 left. So then from there, you can decide, okay, I have 100,000 profit left. How much of this do I want to pay out from to an investor? So if you have 100,000 left, I'm going to try to go super slow. If you have 100,000 left, you can say like, you know what, I would give 10,000 to an investor. Then you work out what is 10,000 of 100,000. You can find the percentage. That's 10%, right? So you can work that way backwards, or you can say, you know what, from that as well to determine like how long do you need the money for? You go back. How long will it take for me to renovate this project? It's gonna take 8 months, it's gonna take 12 months, it's gonna take 1 year. And then I'm gonna build in an extra month or 2 months for any delays, for the time that the property is listed, all those things, right? So from there, when you figure out the timeline of how long it's gonna take for you to acquire, to sell, to renovate, let's say that is 15 months, right? Then you want to make sure you're asking that investor, you're letting that investor, hey, the project is going to take 15 months. This is what it includes. So I need the money for 15 months. See, you're working backwards whenever you are structuring deals. That's what you're doing. You're working backwards in terms of how long the project will take, and from there working how long the project will take, you know how to ask how long, how much of a time frame your investor would need to commit, right? And then based on what your profit is, you will know as well how much of my profit do I want to give to this investor, and that's how you can figure out a return. You can combine both of them where you do debt and equity, like you can do different things, but once you have those two things clear, then you can have a conversation with investor to see how you want to structure it. Again, there is no right or wrong way how to structure, right? Depending on the funds that the person is coming in with, that you could give them some of the profit, right? Maybe because of some of the time that they are committing to, for them it might be a long time, they may ask you for a higher return, or they may ask you for some of the profits, or you can do it so many different ways. But in order for you to structure the deal, or structure the pitch to the investor, you have to know what your deal can do, and that will give you the confidence in structuring. Again, there's no right or wrong way. You don't need to figure out how to structure a deal before you even get the deal. Like, I think that's where you kind of get what do you call it, like confused or stuck, because you don't know how to structure. But how can you structure something if you don't have the deal? Or go practice some deals, go find some deals on Zillow, or get on a wholesalers list and run the numbers. Just practice, 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 because the more you practice, the more you get ideas of how to structure a deal. The more, for example, coming on this call, I tend to do calls as well where I break down case studies of deals that I've done, so you can see how I creatively structured those deals as well. I've done very creative stuff with deals just by talking to an investor. And that way, here's the thing too, because I know how I know what the deal can do, right? I won't go into a structure that doesn't make sense. Here's what I mean. I've gotten deals to fund, right? Where the person, like, and I'm just gonna throw numbers out there, is like, hey, Kalisha, I need $50,000 and we'll give you 15% return on the $50,000. Now, after vetting the deal, I'm like, this deal cannot even provide 15% return. This is a negative. If they have taken the time to review the deal, they have realized that they're not even making any money, much less how will they be able to pay me that 15%. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you got to know how to vet the deal. And in you analyzing the deal, it gives you confidence in knowing how to structure the deal. So that way you're not going to put yourself in a hole, right? You're not going to put yourself in a hole that you don't need to. Um, so again, for before I continue, like, we're covering what's really blocking you when it comes on to you raising capital, whether your first 50,000, your first 100,000, your first, or your next 200,000. Maybe you feel like you're stuck. If you feel like you're really stuck, I'm sure thirsty. Hold on. Maybe you feel like you are stuck, right? But these are the little things that I think are blocking people. And just based on conversations, and we've kind of had persons posted on Skool. We've had them post on Skool in terms of like what their questions are, what they think is blocking them as well. So those are some of the things that I cover. I'm trying to think what else I think is blocking persons as well. If you also have questions that's not relating to what I'm talking about, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat as well. So that should help you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that should help a little bit. But we covered that. And then let's go into a few other things that I think might be blocking you. Again, all of this may not relate to you, maybe one thing. If you think there's something else that's blocking you from raising money, like literally drop it in the chat. I'll see how I can help you in the best way possible. I am not, what do you call it? I am not, what do you call it? I don't know everything, put it that way. I don't know everything, but I will try to answer from my experience in the best way that I can. All right. So we talk about a few things. Another thing is that block persons is that can I, or a question rather, like, can I make money connecting deals to capital without owning the property myself? Yes, you can. That's literally how I got started fully, even more into raising capital, because I got to the point where I had more money than deals, but I was so lost. And here's how I was lost. Because listen, oh my god, story time. I remember before I figure know what connecting was, I used to just hear the term finder's fee, you can raise capital for other people. I hear all of that, right? And then raise capital for another investor, and I think I raised, it was over $50,000. I think. I think it was over $50,000 that I raised, and I got paid 800 bucks. I got paid 800 bucks. And I think I had to split that. I can't remember. And that project, I was like, we were doing all the communication, meaning like checking in with the operator to say, hey, how's the project going, getting updates from the investor, and then sending that to our lender, giving them updates, keeping track of like when the loan was due. Like we were doing a lot. We did the pitch deck, we coordinated stuff with title, we did all those things, and kind of only get paid like 800 bucks. And it was, again, it was split. And I think that was, for me, it was tough because one, didn't know how to structure like the fee portion of it. Because was navigating this whole thing by myself, so didn't know how to structure it. um and then after doing it and seeing all the work and stuff like that, I'm like, no way, 800 bucks for like 8 months, not doing it. It wasn't worth it because we were doing way too much, right? So kind of doing more deals and came up with a system to structure my finder's fee. And then it also got to a point where I would put the time and effort. I remember another time was raising for another investor. I did the pitch deck. I was raising the money. I was talking to investors and everything. Pitching to people, using all my time resources, only to find out from somebody else that this operator found another person's to fund their deal, and they didn't even communicate with me. So I was there talking to people where when he or she or they already got funding for their deal. And that, for me, I'm like, I was so annoyed because I'm like, I put my time, my effort, my energy into talking to investors and trying to get you money for this deal. Like there was so much stuff. And I was like, I ended up doing it. I need to figure out how to share what my fees or get some agreement done before I put time and effort into doing all this stuff. And that's how I came up with another step in my process before I raise capital for anybody else. So to answer your question, I know I had to give those story time. Yes, if you want to kind of get a little run, you don't want to own the deal, or you just want to see how the process likes, yes, you can raise money for other people. It just depends on the size of the projects, the amount. If you're pooling people's money together, there's a lot of stuff to it. So this is usually the vague thing. It depends. You can, but as it relates to structuring and the fee and how it's done, there's a lot of factors that you have to take into account. um, and again, it just goes back to the type of deal, how much money you're raising, how long, what's the structure like for those investors? Are you pooling people's money together? Is this a one-off thing in terms like it's a quick turnaround loan and all those things? So yeah, you can, you can raise money for other people. So you can do that. Let's see. I'm trying to pull up another question that statement that someone gave to me. Uh, okay, here's one. I've been learning forever and still haven't done anything. What's wrong with me? Honey boo boo, nothing is wrong with you. So the question is again, I've been learning forever and still haven't done anything. What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. Okay? I think sometimes we're in an era right now where there's so much information, so much access to information. So we spend so much time getting ready. And most of the time we never feel ready to do the thing, or we think that we don't know enough, right? We don't know enough. So then we can't do it. But that's really not the case. Sometimes too, it's like you have the information, but you either need accountability to implement and execute, and or sometimes when you execute, you don't know if you're doing the right thing or not. And this is weird, so you don't know who to go to see if you're doing the right thing or not. So you kind of go back to reading and learning and reading all the books, listening to all the podcasts and all those stuff. But sometimes you maybe need an accountability partner. You need to be surround yourself with a small group of people or whatever that is, who is doing what is it that you're doing, so you can always go to be like, hey, I tried this, but this is the feedback I got, or this was the result of the thing that I tried. And you can get real feedback. And you getting real feedback, you will know what is it that I need to improve on, what is it that I need to fix. And then you keep going, you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. But a lot of times is that we have all the information, right? We have all of it, but we need accountability. That's just the reality of it. We truly need accountability. Why did I put this so far up here? But yeah, we truly need accountability. So that's, I think that's the main thing. So it's not like all the information is there, and at some point we have to kind of put our foot down and be real with ourselves and be like, no more information, no more reading the books, no more going on a Zoom, no more listening to a podcast. I'm gonna do the thing. Like I had to do that. I had analysis paralysis for an entire year. That is a real thing where I got sick and tired of just learning. And I was like, Kalisha, don't read any more books, don't listen to any more podcasts, go do the thing, and you will learn from that. And it is so true. It's like me doing a thing. That is how I truly learn from all those things that happen, right? So I would say just find your people, find your group, your community of people who are doing the thing, not just talking about, they're doing it, that you can get real feedback from on how to improve some of these things. Like we do, one of the things that we do in our community is that we do role play. Oh, there's something itching my back. We do a lot of role plays, and I like to have different scenarios, and we do the role plays in there, and then we give real feedback, so you can go and do the thing and then mess up or see what works, what didn't, and how did you add your twist to it. That's like a different level of learning, because now you are taking all the information that you've learned and you are implementing it. So nothing is wrong with you, my dear, at all, right? Nothing is wrong with you. It's just that you just have to find a way to use the information, or just execute. Like just stop trying to learn everything, just do the thing, and find an accountability partner, find a community of people who's actually, again, doing what is it that you want to do, so you can get like real advice or feedback, rather, if that makes sense. So I hope that answers the question. Again, we are talking about what's blocking you when it comes on to raising private money. That's usually one of the biggest things. I covered most of the stuff as well, um, that I hear all the time. I think so. I hear those things all the time. Or, oh, another one. This just came to me. I think that's blocking people. Like, I don't know anyone with money. Yeah, that was me too. Um, and it's so crazy because then the more I grow, right? And the higher amount of money I have to raise, this thought always come to my mind. And I think you just got to reframe it. Like, let's say, and this is just give an example. Let's say I have to raise 200,000, right? And the first thought would be like, damn, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head with 200,000, or I don't know anyone with 200,000. And I think if you let that thought can get to you, like it really can. And I think it just stops you from doing the thing or from going out there and raising the money. But as a thought, I think yeah, that's a stopper. I think you just have to reframe it. Like, excuse me, like if that happens, like acknowledge that the thought is there, but also think about it where you have to start somewhere. One, you have to start somewhere. Like for me personally, like I had to tell myself, like, girlfriend, you're growing. You may not think of someone off the top of your head, but reach out to people in your network, see who can introduce you to somebody else, and keep showing up, keep presenting the opportunity, talk about it to people that you meet. Just create awareness around the thing that you are raising money for, because a lot of times that is how I get capital. Like I just create awareness of the opportunity and I find capital, right? So it doesn't matter if you're doing it for the first time, but when those thoughts come to your mind, right? When those thoughts come to your mind that you feel like you can't do it or you don't know anyone with that money, don't stop. Don't give up. Like I'm telling you, don't give up. Like tell people about the opportunity. Even challenge yourself more to go and find that capital. Like I remember when I had to raise $25,000 coming from the Caribbean, like well, coming from back home or how I grew up, like $25,000, like that was a lot of money. I've never even seen that much money before. Lie, that's a lie. That's a lie. No, I've seen that money when I sold my first flip. I think. Yeah. When I first sold my first flip, I saw that amount of money, like more than that. And I was like, whoo, oh my God. Right. But that was profit from a flip. But the first time I actually asked somebody to invest in a deal for $25,000 off the top of my head, I'm like, because that's a lot of money. I don't know anyone with that amount of money. Right. And it almost stopped me to to not raise capital for the deal, to give up because I felt hopeless. Oh my God, I don't know anyone with money. I don't have anyone in my network, all that stuff. I remember even when I had to raise $300,000, I was like, oh my God. And it was in Christmas. I was finding all sorts of excuses not to do it. But thank God, again, this is why it's so important to have people around you who can push you and who are doing the thing. I had people around me who kind of saw what I was capable of and they believed in me and they're like, girl, go do the thing, go raise the money. This is going to be your responsibility. Go do it. And that push, even though I had no clue, well, let me not say I have no clue. I didn't feel ready, right? But I had people around me who were pushing me to go do the thing. And it was a challenge to me. I challenged myself. I wanted to prove to myself that I can do it. But also, I had to tell myself that if I don't try to raise this $300,000, I will be stuck and I won't know what I am capable of because I need to try. If I fail, I fail, but I need to try rather than just talking about it, right? Rather than just talking about it and not doing the thing. I really, really had to try. And that's what I did. I tried and I did it. And I raised that money from two strangers online. That's how crazy it is. I raised money from two strangers online, all because I decided to do it scared, do it even though I didn't feel ready, do it just to challenge yourself, do it to see what are you capable of, what can you do. And when I did that, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I did that. And I did that in 30 days. And for me, that was a lot. No, not it was a lot. That was quick. Not that was quick. I don't even know what's the word. But again, like I also went in a little. There was a little bit of doubt that I can't do it, But it goes back again why having people around you who's doing the thing can really push you and encourage you to do the thing. And so I'm very grateful that I have people in my corner like that who kind of motivated me and kept me going, right? So those things will happen. So I think whenever the doubts happen, whenever you feel like you are not ready to do something, like you have to find a way to reframe it, right? And also talk to yourself. Either you talk out loud, you look yourself in the mirror, open your camera, look on yourself, whatever it is that you need to do, just do that. You know, just do that. Whatever it is that you need to do to talk to yourself, to if that's your word of affirmation when you feel like there's doubt or you can't raise the money, um, just just talk to yourself. Trust me. Talk to yourself. Don't just once the thought comes, just give up just like that. Try. Because the thing is, like, you have people, and maybe this is you, where all you do is talk about a thing. I want to do this, I want to do that. But the thought of it is so scary that you never do it. The thought of you raising that money scares the shit out of you that you never do it. And then all you do is talk, talk, talk. But then in the back of your mind, you wonder, what does it feel like if I raise this much money? What if I raise 100,000? What if I raise 200,000? What if I raise 250, 500, a million? But the reality of it, you will not know unless you try. And again, you have to try to get a track record. Like that is crucial. Okay. You got to try to get a track record, to build your track record, to do the thing. So, yeah. Um, if you guys have any more questions, drop them in the chat. Even after this video, if there is a thought that comes to you and you're like, I don't know what I didn't answer. If you have a thought that comes to you and I didn't touch on that, you can always drop them in the comment section, and then I'll answer it as best as I can as well for that one too. A lot of these things, again, like we tend to have these conversation in our community on Skool. So if you're not a part of that, that is also in the description, so you can check that out as well. If you feel like you don't have all the tools or resources ready, to start, and you think that you need all these fancy tools and resources to start, that's a lie. They're needed. You don't need them to start, right? Sometimes I highly recommend that you start, and then once you start, create chaos, and then you will see what system you need first. Because I think a lot of times you tend to get all these systems, you want to find all the perfect systems, and then you never do the thing, and then it's pointless because you waste that money to get all the systems that you're not using because you're so scared to go present an opportunity to somebody, or to go raise your first 100,000, 50,000, whatever that amount is. So I would say, like, go do the thing, talk to people, and when you start doing that and you realize what is it that you don't have, then you will know what system you need to get first, and then you can kind of stack that, instead of trying to get the perfect system and build it and have all the fancy stuff ready. That's where shiny object syndrome comes in. So go do the thing, raise the money, try doing it, at least try, mess up, especially if this is the first time you're doing. It will not be perfect. There's not a perfect pitch. You are going to screw up, whether it's a text message, a phone call, or Zoom, you're going to show up. But after all of that, you need to ask, you need to like sit with yourself and be honest with yourself. Like, okay, this is how I screw up. What can I fix? How can I improve? How can I learn from this? Right. So, and then go do it again. Go do it again and improve that. Practice too, but go do the thing again. And once you do the thing again, you're going to learn something else about yourself. You're going to screw up some way or the other. Right. But then you come back and you improve and you just keep improving. That's how you become better. Like, there's no secret sauce to this, honestly. If anyone tells there's a secret sauce, the secret sauce is you. Put it that way, there is a secret sauce. The secret sauce to you raising money, it's you and the deal. But a lot of times, from my experience, My secret sauce is me, because there's no one like me. There's no one like my journey. My secret sauce to raising money is Kalisha Carter. Okay. So yeah, hope this was helpful for you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for, I said thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for persons who submitted their questions that was blocking them from before. So I hope that you found this very valuable. As well, again, if to know when I'm doing the lives, of course, it's usually scheduled here on YouTube, and then also it's scheduled and posted in our Skool community, so you can check that out. There's a ton of resources in there to navigate if you're completely new to raising capital as well. So you can check out, like, there's guides, there's videos to break down how to be a connector, how to structure deals. There's different things that you can use as a guide. But until next time, I'll see you guys. And thank you for tuning into my channel, or this live, or this YouTube. Yeah, I kind of like doing this. All right. So thank you guys, and have a great night.